Today's episode of Pittsburgh Steelers Talk is presented by LinkedIn Talent Solutions. If you're hiring for your small business and you got to make sure you get this hire right, you need to use LinkedIn. Post your job for free over at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. We've made some hires here at Chat Sports using LinkedIn. We love them so far, and maybe the Steelers might be looking for some new hires. We'll break down that at quarterback and maybe OC later on in today's video. It is Week 2 overreactions time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Some of them overreactions, some are just reactions and very normal from that standpoint. A very disappointing and frustrating, dare I say, Week 2 loss. Patriots win. Final score, of course, in that one, 17-14. Mac Jones threw for 252. Steelers defense played well. When you allow, 17 points, you should win almost every single football game. But when you only score 14, you're going to lose pretty much every single football team. So you tell me, folks, is this team good enough to make the playoffs? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section if you believe in this team in a very stacked AFC. All right, let's get into some of these Week 2 overreactions. Some good, some not so good. Let's start positive here. Minkah Fitzpatrick is the best safety in the NFL. I do not consider this one an overreaction. I am very impressed every single time Minkah Fitzpatrick steps out there on the field through 2 games. How about this production? 20 tackles, which we can have a longer conversation one day about, do you want your safety being your tackle leader? Probably not. Means you're getting a little bit too much downfield, but he's been awesome. 2 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. That was the pick 6. He was the number one reason why you beat the Bengals in Week 1. He is the leader of this team on defense with TJ Watt out. He has been fantastic. Each week, that rather aggressive trade of a first-round pick looks better for Pittsburgh. And I know at the time it was perfectly reasonable to go, oh man, this might be a bad move for Pittsburgh. That could be a top 10 pick. Ended up not being. And whatever player they would have taken, not as good as Minkah Fitzpatrick. He has been a star. I think he is the best safety in the NFL. Apologies to the other guys out there, but I'm taking Minkah over all of them. Let's play true or false here. Minkah Fitzpatrick is the best safety in the entire NFL. Type in T for true, or you can type in F for false. This will be our pinned comment on today's video. Obviously, I'm typing in T for true, but I want to hear from you, Steelers Nation. If the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know, T or F. Overreaction number 2. It is time to start Kenny Pickett. I'm going to go slight overreaction, at least for now. Mitch Trubisky has not overwhelmed me with great play. He's kind of been most of what we expected, I think, out of Mitchell Trubisky. He's been kind of just okay-ish, not bad, not a disaster, not great, not that good. He's been kind of, dare I use the phrase, mid. He's not the reason why you're losing. He's a bit of a game manager right now. There are plenty of play-calling woes I see on this team. We'll get to more in depth later on. But it's fair to wonder if maybe it's time to pick Pickett. We'll talk more about Pickett and, hiring for that quarterback job after a word from today's sponsor. That is LinkedIn Talent Solutions. You post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Add your job in the purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. It's super easy to create a free job post on LinkedIn Jobs, then add it and use that hiring frame. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. Trying to finish the year strong overall for an NFL team, right? We hired a bunch of people at Chat Sports. You want to make sure you hire the right team member to that. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number 1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/NFL Daily. That's linkedin.com/NFL Daily to post your job for free. terms and conditions do apply. Feels like that quarterback job might be posted pretty soon. At some point this year, unless you really get going and you're in the playoffs, which is, of course, still possible, but your quarterback play's not been great. Your offense has not been good at all. Full stop. They've been a bad offense so far. If that continues and you continue to not be a full-fledged playoff team, at some point you got to make the move to Kenny Pickett. You have to. It's the best path to actually winning football games if Trubisky continues to be just okay. Kenny Pickett, after all, is your future quarterback. Whether you make that move in week 5, week 7, week 10, week 13, whenever, it does make sense for this team to see what the first-round pick can do. You don't draft a first-round pick and say, maybe we'll start him someday. You plan to start him, whether it's at the end of year 1 or beginning of year 2, he needs to be your guy. Otherwise, you wasted a first-round pick. So I'm not trying to be anti-Mitchell Trubisky, although that stat line's not great, let's be honest. It was not a great showing. He is a bit limited overall. But at some point, you got to make the move to Pickett. I'll say overreaction for make it in week 3, but sooner, I think, than later if the offense continues to be pretty bland. So when, if at all, should Kenny Pickett start this year? Pick a week you have in mind for me when it's time to make the move to Kenny Pickett. Let's talk Alex Highsmith. Is he only a number 2 pass rusher? Well, he only had 3 tackles and a TFL after 3 sacks against the Patriots last week. I think in an ideal world, yes, you keep him as your number 2 pass rusher. I'll also say this. It is unrealistic to expect 3 sacks every single week. That's not how things are ever really going to operate. And having watched the Bengals again in week 2, that offensive line might just be really bad. The Patriots' offensive line, not nearly as bad. But, and this is not a hot take to anyone who understands anything about football, i.e. every single person watching, having TJ Watt does take a lot of pressure off of Alex Highsmith. That's just the reality of the situation. When you have TJ Watt out there, instead of doubling and chipping, etc., Alex Highsmith on the outside, or Cam Hayward, it's Watt or Hayward. So now you're edge 1, pass rusher 2, if you want to include Cam Hayward there, as opposed to being 2 and 3. So it does make life a lot more challenging for Alex Highsmith. I'm not out on him, don't get me wrong there, but you'll see how he fares the next 5 games or so without TJ Watt opposite him. All right, overreaction number 4. The Diontae Johnson contract is a steal. I don't mind this one as an overreaction at all. I've been very impressed with how Johnson has fared. Now, again, the offense, Matt Canada conversation coming up here is a bit, maybe not the best. 6 catches, 57 yards. There was almost some other high-end impact plays made by Johnson. Had the throws been a little bit better, there was the 2-point try as well Johnson converted on. Shorter contracts almost always mean shorter average per year. Johnson is not among the top 10 highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. He's just outside of that conversation. And it's a good list up there, right? Tyreek Hill, Adams, Nuke, Kupp, Brown, Metcalf, Diggs, Debo, McLaurin, DJ Moore. That's a really strong list. I don't know how many receivers, if any, you'd put Diontae Johnson ahead of on that list, but it's a very quality group of wide receivers right now. And that's include Johnson and this entire Steelers team. It's a quality group. Chase Claypool continues to be fairly involved in the offense. We made a big deal about George Pickens, and he had 1 catch for 23 yards. Again, I don't think his play style meshes that well with Mitch Trubisky, but this is a very good wide receiver core, and it's why we're having conversations on Mitch Trubisky, on Matt Canada. You would think the offense with Najee Harris, these 3 young, talented wide receivers, and Pat Freiermuth would have more success than barely getting to, 250 yards of total offense, 243 against the Patriots? You're not going to win football games doing that. I don't blame the receiving core. We'll get to Matt Canada here in a second. But if you think Pittsburgh has one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL, show me you do. Like the video right now. Overreaction number 5 is Matt Canada on the hot seat. I kind of think he should be. If I have to pick overreaction or underreaction or just reaction, I think reaction is right here. Like, he should be a little bit on the hot seat. I think he's been on a warm seat for a little bit now. Obviously, you had Big Ben in there, and the issue you run into with the Pittsburgh offense is a normal drop-back passing game isn't Matt Canada's strong suit. There's a lot of misdirection and eye candy and et cetera with the motion and the handoffs and the jet touches like that. And that's all fine. But when you ask Trubisky just to drop back and, attack the defense, I don't think the game plan's that great. And Chase Claypool, who, by the way, maybe should be careful with what he says publicly, had this to say: "We can only do what they tell us to do and execute it." It kind of feels like you're blaming the coaching a little bit, right? At least a little bit. There is some context there. Maybe he just meant we didn't execute that well, but I view that as, you're asking us to do things and, it's a lot of short area passes. The average is not great. It's just it's interesting for me in terms of this offense with Matt Canada. I don't know if he's the right guy at OC. Mike Tomlin's got, I think, a pretty long leash overall, as he should. Go make a change, go for it. But maybe give him the year. I do worry about this too. Head coach would say the same. I do get concerned about shuffling out your play caller in year 2 of your rookie quarterback. That's a lot of change for a guy that has already gone, I think, through 4 or 5 play callers in his career already. That's a lot of change to ask a young QB to deal with. So we'll keep an eye on that one. It might be Matt Canada hot board season if the offense continues to just not be that good. Time for a real one roll call. If you made it to the end of today's video, then show me you did. Type in "Here we go" in the comments section, and producer Jeremy Chugs will show you some love in that comment section.